we're going to look at 3 for sure, potentially 4 job sites, but they're all going to be pretty quick. They're all in the rough stages. They're either an outdoor job or the outdoor preparation of an addition. There might be some indoor stuff we could look at that are in demolition stages. But that's what we're looking at today, and hopefully we're going to get together soon and go do some video inside a couple jobs where we have some progression that we could show you some finishing touches or almost finished jobs that we might be just waiting on shower glass or a door to come in or something like that. But for today, we're going to go check on 3, potentially 4 jobs in Ridgewood, Glenrock, Hawthorne, and Saddlebrook. All right, so right now we are pulling up to a job in Ridgewood. So in this home, we're taking an older Tudor-style home with stucco. We're doing a large addition off the back with a full-depth basement as part of the single-story. Actually, it's a 2-story addition, and a renovation of a luxurious kitchen, master bath, some additional rooms tied in upstairs. So it's a lot of tying new into old. But when we went to dig the foundation, we found that part of the home that we had to tie the new footings and foundation into didn't have the correct footings and foundation. So we had to stop the plan, get a structural engineer. They had to draw new, what we call underpinning of the footings to a specific specification by code, resubmit that to the town, have the town approve to release that, and now restart the job again. So these folks unfortunately had to move out, and people always say, well, how long of a lease do I need if I have to move out? I said, if I think the job's going to take 4 months, you should get a 6-month lease. If I think the job's going to take 6 to 8 months, you should unfortunately get a year lease. Time is a frustrating part of renovation. So I try to prep people during the estimates and the interviews and the preparation to even start a job that these things can happen. Err on the side of caution, and you'll be less disappointed if something does come up. Let's go take a look. Sometimes landscaping needs to be sacrificed for access. So this was not a driveway. This was flower beds and a little retaining wall and things, but the additions in the back of the house, we got to get large equipment in the back of that house. So we protect the driveway, but we had to create a path to get the equipment in and out of there. Let's go take a look. All right, so what we have going on back here is what's called underpinning. So what underpinning means is when you're going to dig down deeper than the existing footings are in a structure and add to that, you can't just add to dirt. You actually have to pour concrete between the height of the old footing all the way down to meet the new footing. So if you could see over there, you see what looks like new concrete next to our worker that's down there. That is connecting the old concrete, which is the bottom of that structure, down to the new footings of what's going to be the new full-depth basement. So, and we can't just do underpinning in one big shot. We have to do a multi-phase underpin, because if you just dug out all the dirt to pour that concrete, the structure would fall down. It could collapse. So we actually have to scrape out about 3 to 4 feet at a time, get it inspected, pour a stripe of concrete footing, let it cure, then move over and dig out the next stripe of dirt, prep that, pour that underpinning footing, and then continue that process by a specific mapped out code by the engineer to create eventually what's going to be underpinning of all the old height, which are different in this house. You have the little room over there that has footings that are about, I don't know, 10 feet up from the bottom of the pit here. And then you have the main house, which footings are only about 8 feet up from the bottom of the pit here. And we have to tie all the old into new to create this full basement for this new 2-story addition that's going on the back of this home. So right now we have the excavators here trying to get rid of some of the dirt for the next phase of the underpinning. So you can see it's incomplete because we have to do it in those phases. So that comes up sometimes. Sometimes it's planned, sometimes it's a surprise when we find no footings or footings that don't go to the proper depth. So that's what we call underpinning. All right, so people often ask me in an addition, what is the order of operations? What comes first? Well, oftentimes we could do more than one scope of work at the same time. For example, we're at our Summit Street Ridgewood job where we're doing that big full basement dig out with the underpinning job that we talked about before. But while that's happening, even though we're not even close to ready to pouring a foundation or framing walls yet, we had some time to have the guys start inside to start doing the demolition for the entire renovation. So we don't always want to wait for the outside to be framed and built before we move to the inside, because that could draw out the process. So we're doing demolition inside this home to prep for when the addition is framed and built. We could just blow through these walls and start there, not start at the demo phase after we finish framing and roofing on the outside. So job site management and project management is important. It's something to be thought about and talked about with your contractor before you hire them. So we try to work efficiently and get things done in spite of waiting for other things to happen. And that's how we achieve a desired result, and we keep you a little happier on the timeline at the end of the project. All right, let's roll. We're going to head over to Hawthorne. Now, I'm choosing our route today carefully because it is the afternoon in Bergen County, New Jersey, and anytime from 2:30 to 3:45, if you have a job site near a school, think again. Plan another route, visit them in the morning, because when it's time to pick up the kids, everything else stops in New Jersey because there happens to be a school very close by. So I want to show you quickly, very similar job site to what we looked at, except instead of digging down for a foundation or digging down for a crawl space, we're doing quite the opposite. This particular small rear addition is what we call slab on grade. So slab on grade is when you dig out, you have to put footings no matter what. Footings, if you remember, are when we have to dig down at least 3 feet in our climate zone and pour concrete footings. That's what the foundation is built on. But oftentimes that foundation is either a space, like a crawl space, or a big space, which is a full height basement. In this case, we just put enough blocks to bring us back up to the top of the dirt on top of those footings, and we pour a concrete slab. So there's nothing underneath the slab. There's no space underneath the slab. There's nothing to insulate. That's what we call slab on grade. So let's see who's here and what's going on. Emergency brake required. Watch out for landmines. Now, just point of reference, we got this job because we did a lot of work for these nice people. So the people over here have invited us back to do several projects at their home, and when their neighbors needed a contractor, we were one of the people that was introduced into the bidding process because of recommendations from our clients who use us over and over again. But let's take a look. Perfect. All right, right now I am standing in the future expanded living room, family room, entertainment space of this single-story addition in Hawthorne. As I mentioned in the car, this particular addition is going to have no crawl space, no basement underneath of it. This is what we call slab-on-grade construction. So if you come over here, you'll see some things that look familiar. This is our CMU block. Below the CMU block, 3 feet down, is a big poured footing. One of those footings where we form a trough, put in rebar, get it inspected, pour a big 2 foot wide by 1 foot deep concrete footing, and then we build our block foundation. Now that foundation isn't always the walls of a basement or a crawl space. In this case, the foundation just brings us up to grade. Grade is a building term for level of the ground or the earth. So when we talk about slab on grade, we're talking about pouring a concrete floor at the approximate level of grade, which is the soil, dirt, earth level outside of the addition. So what's going to happen now is we just got this inspected. So we dug our holes, we got our footings inspected, we poured our footings, we let them cure. We then built our CMU block foundation up to grade, and now we're prepping for slab. So what you see here is all these boards are formed to prep for the slab. These rebars tied down into the CMU block, which are going to get solid filled with the new slab, is going to basically overflow and fill all these holes up so that your foundation is tied into your slab. Then we put this vapor barrier, and then on top of the vapor barrier we put this cage wire. And what's going to happen is when we pour the new slab, which is going to be about 6 inches thick, 4 to 6 inches is most common. It's usually spec'd out by the architect or the engineer. this wire is actually going to help the concrete hold together, same way that rebar does. Just different application in the slab. We don't use rebar, we use this wire. In large foundation walls, we use rebar. So what's going to happen next is the concrete truck's going to come. We're going to pump the concrete, pour this slab, and this slab will now be the new floor, base of the floor for the inside of the addition. And we're going to finish this floor with hardwood. Now, what you can see down there, this is going to be the future home of a wet bar. So we had to run pipe and have it inspected for both the water supply and the drain to go underneath the new slab and tie into the plumbing in the existing basement. So this is where proper planning and having your cabinet layout and your plumbing layout designed before we even start the addition is so important, because these pipes had to be in the right location before we pour a concrete slab. Otherwise, we're jackhammering up brand new concrete to fix any mistakes and then re-pour it, which is expensive for the contractor, and you goofed if you're doing that. So planning is super important, but we are going to pour this slab and we're going to have the plumbing already in place underneath it before it even gets poured. Call Don Pearson.
Hey, what's going on, man?
Hey Don, do me a favor. I just left the job in Hawthorne, a slab on grade rear single-story addition. We just did some video about the slab prep, and the homeowner happened to be home, was curious when the slab was actually getting poured. I know last we talked, we were waiting for a concrete truck to be available and for our subcontractor Mason to be available. I just want to keep up with our level of communication and make sure she is in the loop as far as when that's going to be. So hopefully we can get an answer today, get back to the homeowner and give her a definitive time of when that slab is going to be poured. It'll make her feel better, and also let's make sure we're planning and we have our framer ready to go, or at least reasonably ready to go. I know we got a lot of jobs we're juggling and that he's involved in personally, but let's make sure that once the slab is poured, there's not yet another long delay. We want to keep everybody happy, we want to keep the jobs moving. So do your best and let me know what's going on.
You got it, man, no problem.
All right, so what we have going on here, this is a job site I don't think we've been to before. It happens to be happening next to a large-scale new home construction job going on, so you're going to hear a little bit of noise in the background. But this job, like most, has evolved. So the original plans were to have this covered patio, going to have some type of tile product on the floor, and we were going to do cabinetry for an outdoor kitchen. The homeowner did some research online and saw that you could actually build the outdoor kitchen out of CMU block and asked if he could have a block, basically kitchen counter, more or less. So not the countertop itself, but what you see for the block here is actually the replacement of cabinetry. It's going to receive a refrigerator, a kegerator, a sink. What you have over here is an outdoor fireplace that's already been installed and vented. You see we already did the roof and the framing, and the slab has already been poured. And right here, this is going to be the exhaust hood for above the grill. And the reason why you see that cement board is because this particular exhaust hood is going to be finished with stone. And masonry products do adhere better to other masonry products without additional preparation. So this is going to receive stone, that's going to receive stone, and this is going to be pretty much a stone outdoor kitchen under a brand new covered patio with a concrete slab floor that's going to receive an exterior porcelain tile. Let's go take a look on the inside. So in this particular job, it's a pretty cool job. We framed this enormous outdoor covered patio roof. It has some soffitting for it to cover up some of the mechanicals. You can see we have the vent for the grill that's going to exhaust out through the roof, through the piping. We have an outdoor fireplace that's been framed for. This is going to receive stone. We built the cabinetry, quote unquote cabinetry, out of block. This is also going to receive stone, but these spaces you see are to receive different appliances. Beverage cooler, kegerator. There's going to be some outdoor plumbing out here. As you can see, we did some prep before the slab went in to prep for sink and faucets, and it's a pretty cool space. We also, the architect designed skylights to go with this project. So to bring some natural light into an area that was going to be a little dark, you can see we framed some skylights, supplied and installed these. And this is going to be a pretty cool project when it finishes off. Right now, we are done framing, we are done roofing, we are done with the block work for the outdoor kitchen. Next steps is going to be flooring, and then we're going to finish off the inside of this with a porch ceiling material. And then we're going to wrap everything you see that's exposed wood with PVC, AZEK type PVC material to create the columns, to create the soffits, to create the blocks. We still have to do the rough electrical on this job. As you can see, there's no wiring yet. There's been a lot of electrical change orders on this job. They want to upgrade the service. The number of amperage that needs to come out here to support their appliances has changed since the drawing. So when that happens, the electrician comes in, gives us an estimate for the additional scope of work. We get approval from the homeowner for that additional scope of work. And then the electrician comes in here and will execute and start doing all the wiring for the new circuitry, the recessed lighting, and anything for the appliances. So that's where we are with this job here in Glen Rock, New Jersey. Stay tuned, you're gonna see a lot more of this one. This is gonna be a fabulous finished result. So summer has finally showed up. And for those of you who know, there's a thing called Christmas in July, July 25th, because it's 6 months away from Christmas. But I always try to relate Christmas in July to planning your projects that you need done for Christmas. So what that means is for smaller projects like interior renovations, kitchens, bathrooms, finished basements, maybe even a deck, some custom carpentry. If you need something done by Christmas, you need to be hiring your contractor, or at least contacting your contractor in July. Christmas in July is a thing. It makes me think of proper planning. Contact your contractor, that's a tongue twister, in July for any project you need done by Christmas. So now we are heading to our Saddlebrook, New Jersey project. This is the project that I alluded to, where we are doing an addition and pretty much a 100% interior renovation on a very old home that had some very old additions and then some moderate range dated, I would say 1980s, 1990s additions. And now they are completely renovating the house and adding on even more space. We're tying a lot of new into old, and we're finding a lot of interesting things, I'll say, on this job. One thing we found on this project has actually caused the job to stop because we need a structural engineer to consult and redraw what we have to do, because when we were digging for the footings for the new addition, we found much of the existing home was built on a fieldstone foundation and had no footings. So we can't properly tie our new footings into the old footings as called for on the plans because there are no old footings. And then there's always going to be some associated costs with that. So we always tell people, put a little bit of money in your budget for unanticipated things that may arise. But we're going to go take a quick little tour of this job right now so I can show you where it stands, so that hopefully there'll be some progress shots in the future that you'll get a chance to see what we do when we tie new into old. All right, so we're in Saddlebrook, New Jersey right now for a full home renovation with a small addition going on the back of the home. And one of the first things we discovered when we started digging for the new crawl space to put our new footings that are supposed to be tied into the old footings according to the plan, we discovered, as you can see, there's no foundation. There's just a pile of rocks that this was sitting on. So we had to stop, call a structural engineer, and now we have to find out what we're going to do for that. My guess it's going to be some type of multi-phase underpinning, but we have to see what the structural engineer says, resubmit it to the town, and then we can continue construction once we assign a cost for the additional work and get approval from the client. But this one's going to be interesting. So I just wanted to show you what happens sometimes, something we discover right on day one, that we had to stop everything and regroup, pivot, and hopefully we'll be able to overcome this obstacle. We're also going to take a look inside the house because this is an interesting house because of the age. It's multi-layers of additions that have been added on for over 100 years. So we're going to take a peek inside. Don't let the vinyl siding fool you. This is one old home. Here's the old roof line. Well, that is it for today. This was an interesting ride-along episode number 4. Remember to like, subscribe, share, comment, follow, wherever you happen to find us. But the full version of this is going to be on YouTube, and you may just be seeing clips on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, LinkedIn. I encourage you to go over to YouTube, subscribe to my channel. That's how we are able to keep doing this. We want to grow that base on YouTube, and stay tuned. There's going to be a lot more to come.